So, good morning, students. I don't know why students are not turning up. Only 47 students are present. Yes, I'll take their attendance. Yeah. So, here when we see, we'll be doing instruction cycle. In instruction cycle, we have fetch cycle and execution cycle. Whereas doing instruction cycle, I'll be giving you example that how the data path or how the data flow is there in the instruction cycle. Plus I'll provide you the micro programming of each type that I'll be explaining in the how the data path is followed. So these three topics will be doing together. It might not be done in one class itself, might take one or two, maybe three if you are not able to understand. So we'll see accordingly. But after this, we'll be finishing up this unit, right? Yeah. So we were looking at the fetch cycle yesterday in the last class. Do you have any doubt regarding the last class?
Could you again repeat instruction cycle one more time?
Yes. Instruction cycle I will repeat. We'll start instruction cycle. Any other doubt? I'll just go through. If you have any other doubt.
I need to read the textbook one more time to understand it better.
Okay. So you can refer the book Hemature for that.
Yeah.
So let's go with it. Oh, 1 second. I think misplace thing. Yeah. Let's go with it. So instruction cycle is used. First, we have to take the program. To execute a program, we require some instructions. One thing is all the programs are lying in secondary memory. Now the programs need for execution need to be in RAM. That means primary memory. Once the program are in RAM, then you have to execute them. To execute them, instruction cycle is used. In instruction cycle, there are 2 points. One is fetch, one is execute. Fetch is generally used to fetch the instruction from main memory to the CPU or to the processor. And once the instruction reaches to the processor, then it will start executing. So this is instruction cycle. Now, when we start with the fetch cycle, we have certain operations that need to be done. What are those? So objective of fetch cycle is to read the instruction from memory on the or based on the program counter register. So we know that the program counter is holding the address of next instruction. I'll show you an example how it is holding. So when the program counter is holding the address of next instruction to be executed, program counter will pointing to this address. This address will be fetched and the program counter will hold the address of next instruction. So this is the first step. Next, program counter is starting the instruction address and immediately pointing to the next address. That means once the start address is fetched, program counter is holding the address of next instruction so that next instruction can be executed. Now how it is going to the next instruction, that is also one thing. If it is consecutive memory, or let's say if it is 8 byte or 16 byte, then these steps need not be uh, like it can have a step counter of 2 or 4 or 8 or 16. Likewise we can do the step counter, But if the memory size in words, or if the memory is not consecutively allocated, then it has to hold the program counter has to hold some instruction which is not consecutive, so we cannot increment it automatically. So that will also come after second step. Third step is start instruction address, which is provided by the programmer, and next instruction address is calculated by incrementing the program counter with the step size. So this is that step size which tells the program counter whether to increment in a confined manner, let's say step of 2 or step of 4, or maybe some alternative manner if the next instruction is not found at particular step length. So how the step size is determined? Step size depends upon the length of instruction. So if the instruction length is always step of 2, 4 or 6, then you can always increment at step of 2. Otherwise, in that sense you can make some fixed constant and you can keep on adding. If not, then there will be some variable length, and that will be done by the CPU itself. It will tell that it will send the address of next instruction, and that address of next instruction will be stored in program counter. So all those instructions will be sent by processor itself. So this is written in note 1 and note 2. Now 8085, there could be any number of operations. So if it is 1 byte operation, you will find a single operation which will be written. If it is 2 byte instruction, then there will be one instruction and some values which need to be stored. So this is generally known as instruction or opcode or operator, and these are generally known as operand, like in our C language. So when we say it is 2 byte instruction, we say move or MVI A, 23. So this 2-3 value will be storing in the register A. If it is 3 byte instruction, then this 80 value will be moving to lower bind of A, and 20 will be storing to higher bind of A. So this is hexadecimal value. So likewise you have 1, 2, 3 byte instructions. Why this is 2 byte and why this is 3 byte? Because here we say that lower bind of 80 has to move to lower bind of A. So this will be done in 3 instruction cycle. First this will be loaded, second this, and first move has to be fetched. That is why we say it is 3 byte instruction. Whereas 2, 3 value is already present in accumulator and it will directly be moving to A. That is why it is 2 byte instruction. Now take an example. Let's take an example. There is a program which says MVI A, 23. So this is the start address which will be held by program counter. So the program counter says that to start the instruction, to start fetching the instruction at address 1000, the program counter will be holding the address. So program counter is holding the address of 1000. And this instruction will be fetched, that is MVI A. Then there will be increment register which will increment the program counter. So it will increment to the 1 step size plus 1. If the instruction is here, it will hold that instruction. So program counter is now holding the address, next address of the instruction, that is 1001. MVIA suggests that I am a 2 byte instruction. So the program counter, what it will do? it will decode this instruction and it will again hold the instruction of next address. So program counter now will hold the instruction at SIM, and as it was 2 byte, this value 23 will be moved to A. So this instruction, but this is done at execution. So this is just an explanation that it is one instruction. Next, at 1002, this will be fetched and the program counter will move at 1003. Now the question will be asked that when it is moving to 1003, what will be the address of next program counter? So the next program counter will fetch 1004, it will fetch 1005, and it will say that this is one instruction. So likewise, then if other instructions are there, it will try to load those. So that is how the program counter keep on incrementing, keep on fetching the instruction depending upon the register and from where it has to fetch. Right now it is fetching from memory storage. So there are different types you'll be looking after, that whether it is in accumulator, whether the storage is in register or memory. What do I mean by whether the storage is in register or memory? I'll tell you. Registers are particularly stored in the processor. So these are the registers that we are talking about. Accumulator is also a memory. Temporary register is also a memory, but these all are registers which are stored in the microprocessor itself. When we say we are going for memory operations, those could be either we are fetching from RAM or we are taking it from accumulator. So this accumulator is also a memory. So that is what we mean by memory and register storage. Next, we see our execution cycle. So let's see how these are getting executed. Execution cycle. So up to now, you are able to understand? Any doubts?
I will ask soon enough.
Okay. So in the execution cycle, the first objective of execution cycle is to execute the instruction, where the instructions are getting executed in the processor. That means they will use certain memory, they will use certain operations, and at last arithmetic logic unit, which is ALU, which we also call CPU, central processing unit, but central processing unit consists of many things like this entire CPU, and sometimes we also refer and say that it is peripheral if you consider the entire box. But right now we are considering CPU or processor as only ALU. That means here the operations will finally be executed. Temporary register will give some of the data. Accumulator is also a memory. Here also some of the data could be stored. Flags are generally used. Let's say we say that if it is dividing by 0, you interrupt, or if there is high heat in the memory, you interrupt. So there are some 8 to 10 flags conditions. Flags are nothing but again they are some memory which are storing certain value. Value could either be in 0 or 1. That means there are few conditions through which we say either do it or do not. So they generally provide 1 bit value to the accumulator, that what to be done. So when we say we are going for execution, we are generally taking the instructions to ALU so that these could be executed. Once they are executed, the values will be stored back Either they could be stored back in here and further it can take through data bus to the memory, or if intermediate values are formed, then they could be stored in the register. Again, they could be fetched. Again, some of the, if there is any complicated calculation is there, that could be performed. And at last, the entire value will be stored in RAM. So this is execution cycle. So opcode is required to execute the instruction. Generally, we require operation code. Like for example, you have got two numbers A and B. So you require certain opcode or operation code which can perform on these on these operands to perform the operation. Next is opcode information is defined in instruction format. So there is generally a format for a particular instruction that need to be written. So what is that, we'll see further. And what is done during this fetching the instruction and executing the instruction, there will be encoder and decoder. Why we apply encoder? Because when encoder is generally used when CPU is generating the signal. So ALU will generate the signal because it is hard coded and it is ultimately your IC. So any IC or any sensor will always generate signals. These signals need to be converted in bits 0 and 1. Then only our software can understand. Our software cannot understand signals. It can only understand bits because the compiler and machine language is written in bits. So it can understand bits. That is what encoder is doing. Once it is generating the signal, it will convert into bits. And what is so once it is converting into bits, so bits are nothing but it may be address in memory, it could be address in register, it could be data, it could be control signals which are getting converted into bits. So ultimately it is some kind of data, either it is in terms of instruction address or data, actual data it requires. So if it requires actual data, then also the address of memory will be generated, so that from the memory we can fetch this address. So what is encoder doing? Finally it is converting into bits so that particular thing can be done. What is decoder doing? Once we fetch the instructions, and this is converting again back to signals so that your microprocessor or ALU can understand those signals. So again, the bits will be converted into signals. So this is what encoder and decoder will always be present in ALU in order to when we are fetching and executing, they make the entire execution happening and taking place in the ALU possible, right? So what is the instruction format? And yes, the processor design instruction is always represented in encoded binary format. During its execution, decoding mechanism is required to generate the respective signals. So you can make note of it. This is what I have explained here. Next is instruction format. Once you understand this format, you'll be able to understand, we'll be covering all of this thing. One is these 2 points and one are somewhere these 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we'll be done. So instruction format is shown in internal structure of the instruction. So instruction format could be either it could be through stack we can represent, or through accumulator we can represent, or through general register in CPU we can explain. This is your accumulator, nothing but it is a memory. General register, these are the general register, general purpose register, right, in the memory, or it could be in temporary register, right? So these are the possible, and yes, stack is here. This is stack pointer, which is pointing to the memory in the stack. So it could be any memory. Let's say if it is temporary register, or if you are using RAM. So what it will do, stack pointer will point to the top of memory. Once it is pointing to top of memory, last in first out, or we can say the top of memory will be only allocated, and we can store any operation here, or we can pop, like push and pop could be are the operation of stack, and those could be used. So these are the three ways we can make ALU operands available. Operands means either it is right hand value or left hand value, like for example a plus b. So this A and B are operands, and plus is add. So we write add A comma B. So B value will be adding with A, right? And it will add. If you write move A and the value, for example, I'll show you here little instructions. Suppose if you write here add A comma B. So now we can say, suppose if A has got some value 0, 1, B has also got value 1, 0. Now if you add A comma B, what it will do is, it will add these two values and store it in A. So when you see the value of A, you will find the value of A will be 1, 1, right? It will be 3. So now you can do one more thing, move value of A to, let's say you're moving value of A to C. So here C will also have value 1, 1, right? So this is how the instructions move. Yes. Let's see how these work. First we'll discuss the stack CPU. So stack CPU in this, now you have to keep remembering few points, otherwise you'll get confused for these three architectures. So you have to clearly listen and understand this. Like in this organization, ALU operations are performed only on stack data, right? Only on stack data. That means both of the ALU operands are present in stack. So where the operands of this kind of operation or ALU, when ALU is performing, where it is present, they are present in stack. That means when we say A comma B, both of them are present in stack. When we say push A, so A has to be present in stack. Second is, stack contains single entry and single exit, so which is known as top of stack. That is why it is known as last in first out. So whatever we have entered the last element, we can only perform with that element. If we pop that out, then we can have one more top of the stack, and that we can work with. So top of the stack is the default location, right? So we don't have to make any other location. The top of stack is the default location. Next we have, so how this instruction format looks like. So have you covered this addressing modes in computer architecture?
Yes.
Yes. So then you know that how the instruction format is like looking like. What it suggests is there will be operation opcode, which is operation code. Next there could be operands. Here we do not have any operands because at opcode you can either say push or pop. So any operations that will be done will always be on top of stack. So that is why it is always said that it is zero address instruction format, because the address is always same. So stack pointer is pointing to the top of stack and it will always be that same address. So what could be ALU operations that we can perform? We can say pop, and we can say push operation, which will be done by on top of stack. So either we can pop any element or we can push any element. So that is how the operations could be done. Once we are making these operations, so top of element could be stored at any location. So when we are storing top of element, let's say we pop that out, so that could further be stored at any point. So further we can use many such operations, but on stack we can only use top of stack. So how this thing is done in the memory, let's see that. Accumulator is something which is temporary memory where ALU, that means arithmetic logic unit, can use this memory directly while executing. So let's say there is top of stack is there. From top of stack, if we have used push A, so something from accumulator where we have, ALU has generated some signals that will be converted or encoded in the form of bits or bytes. Generally it is digits 0 or 1 in form of and combination of digit, which will be stored in accumulator. This accumulator will carry that push and it will push the on top of the stack. It will push that digit on top of stack. What if we want just the reversal? That means we wish to have certain thing, then we say pop. Once this is popped out of stack, it will be stored in accumulator. Suppose if the accumulator memory is getting over or it is too full to store, then some of the bits from accumulator or some of the values of operands from the accumulator will be stored in temporary register. So that is how that is why we have these temporary register, because if it is getting full, this memory is getting overflow, then we can use temporary register, right? So it will be stored here, and that is how ALU keep performing the operation. So this is the first one, which is stack CPU. Any doubt in this?
No, ma'am.
Okay, no doubt. So quickly solve one question. Before solving it, I'll again tell you how this add is. Suppose if we give an example, there is one add operation. It will be fetched and it will be passed to CPU. That means instruction format. How the instruction format add? There will be certain operands. It will be passing to add. ALU will perform those operations on so operations will be performed after we have operands. Right now we are storing it in uh, this add operation in the stack, so either we can form push or pop. If the instruction is already in the stack, we can say pop this operation. So add will be popped out of stack and we will get the operation. Suppose if we wish to push that operation, when we push, let's say if it is A equals B divide by C and then add D. So first B divide by C will be done first and then we will go with some other operation. So during that time you might have done it in data structure, that you'll be pushing some of the operation in the stack and then you'll be getting those instructions. So at that time all those hard encoded format in the data structure that you use will be passed over here, and that is how the instructions in the at hardware level it will be performed. So these are the stack operation. Now one question is, can you tell me how many memory operations are required? Like for example, A plus B, I say, where A and B are lying in the memory. So if these A and B are lying in the memory, can you tell me how many operations are required to perform this kind of operation?
Ma'am, 3.
Ma'am, 3.
Yes. Any other student wish to try? So yes, students, it is how many number of instructions are required? There are 3 instructions which are required. So why 3 instructions are required? Can anyone explain?
Ma'am, 1 to A, 1 to push B, and then 1 to add.
Yes. So this is an easy example. Next, we'll start with the other ones maybe in the next class. Here I stop. Thank you, class. If you have any doubt, you can ask me.
I will ask doubts after I go through the topics a bit more.
Okay, ma'am, can you repeat why 3 instructions?
Yes, 3 instructions are required. See, first what you'll do is A plus B is there. So A will be used. one second. So you add A and B. So what you'll do is first B has to be there. B will have certain value. So what you have to do is move B, one second, move B, comma 10, right? This is first thing. Then move A, comma 0, 1. So these are two instructions, right? And this is the third one. So that is why 3 instructions are required. First, second, and third.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. This was the simple one. Any other doubt? Okay, then we stop here, right? Thank you, students.